You're listening to Carlow Connects, a local business podcast keeping us all connected. Available now on all major podcasting platforms. Folks, we're back again with another episode of Carlow Connects, and today is a big one. I'm Paddy Carroll, still talking to the people who keep Carlow ticking. Let's jump in straight away. Today we're joined by someone who's been a big part of public life in Carlow for nearly 3 decades. I hope I'm not showing off your age now.
Don't worry.
She served as a councillor, a senator. She's now a TD and now Minister for State at the Department of Health, special responsibility for public health, well-being and the National Drug Strategy. But beyond all the titles, she is known for being deeply rooted in her community, always present and always approachable. One of 44 women members in Dáil out of the total of 174 Choctaw Dáil in the 34th Dáil. We're chatting about her journey into politics, what life looks outside of Dáil, the juggle of family and public life and public service, and the experience that shaped her along the way. It's a chance to get to know the person behind the role, and we're delighted to have her here with us. Fáilte Road Minister Jennifer Murnane O'Connor, you're very welcome to Amplify Studios, right in the heart of Carlow town. It's absolutely fantastic to have a minister, not just a TD, but just a minister from Carlow and acting as a minister for state. I'd say, is it a pinch moment?
Yeah, when I got the call from our leader, Micheál Martin, the Taoiseach of the country, as you know, after the last election, he was putting his cabinet together and he made a call to the Ministers of State. As you know, I'm Minister of State at the Department of Health. And I got the call and he just said, I'm going to make you minister. And I was so emotional. And I was honoured, and it was a great honour for me and my family. Absolutely.
And is that up to the Taoiseach of the day?
That's the Taoiseach of the day gets his cabinet at table, which we call, and then there's the Minister of State. So he would pick his Fianna Fáil cabinet ministers, ministers of state. Then the leader of Fine Gael would pick then his own cabinet ministers and his ministers of state. But the Taoiseach, the leader of the party, of your party, like Micheál Martin is our leader, he would, as the Taoiseach, he would pick them. And no one would know. No one knows. He sits down, he looks at all the areas, and he makes his own call on it, yeah.
And how does he decide then that you are going to go into the Department of Health? Like, does he look at your background, whether you've been in health or not, or does he go, I think she'd be a very good fit here to get in here and get stuff done?
Yeah, no, ministers can change all the time. If you look at different elections, there could be ministers maybe that were in health that could go maybe to higher education, could go. So ministers do change, but they have the belief to know that you will work in your department, because every department is different. And in my remit, which is the new drug strategy, health and well-being, that in itself, like it's something that, you know, when you're a TD, you'd always be learning different things anyway. And so when I was given this portfolio, I was absolutely honoured. And you learn, you're constantly reading, on information. You're constantly looking at legislation. You're constantly being asked questions in the Dáil. And the main thing is too that you work with your department. So in Dublin now, I would have a Sec Gen under me that works with me. Then I would have officials in the department that would be in health in my department for years. And then there's the clerical staff that work with me. And then there's my advisor as well. So with being a minister, you get a lot of extra staff, because then again, you are working on budgets. Like at the moment now, Paddy, I'm working on the budget now for the next budget. And with that, I'm working with the different departments to see where I can, I'm always looking for extra funding, and I say that, but, we will, of course, have a meeting with Minister Jack Chamber and Minister Simon Harris, and that'll happen in the next few weeks. But I also have several meetings with Minister Jennifer McNeil, Minister Mary Butler, who's mental health. She's Minister of State. She's the whip of our party. She's also on health. And then there's Minister Kieran O'Donnell. So he's older person and he's housing, that kind of. And then there's myself. So we have 4 ministers within the health sector.
From a person outside of both houses in the Oireachtas, like, there is a serious army of people involved, isn't there? To get this thing moving, just even if you have an idea, or someone comes to you and says, I'd look at this new drug, or are we going to bring this in? You've got to have people with the legal advice, everything else. So you might just say that the team underneath you, to me, it sounds like they're very, very important.
Oh, absolutely. Look, your team, and a lot of the team that I work with now have been in this department for years and would be very briefed and very well up on their work, and they're excellent. It's like legislation. I'll give you an example. So when I became a Minister of State, the first thing I looked at was vapes. Because that falls underneath me. So under my remit would be drugs, alcohol and vapes. So they fall underneath me. And I would see from parents, from teachers coming to me that vapes was playing a huge role in society, where they had been targeted at our younger people. So I now have the first bill passed on the vaping. So that is, first of all, it's illegal to sell vapes to anyone under 18. And then, we disposable vapes now, there's no disposable vapes anymore. So that was the legislation that I brought in. And with that then, it's enforcement, it's working with Minister Jim O'Callaghan, it's working with the department, but also Europe plays a huge part of our legislation. So we work with Europe with legislation. So while you're working with the department and you're working within the European guidelines and you work with Europe, and then of course you're working with everyone involved in this, because you also have to be mindful that, that you're including everyone, that you're not leaving anyone out. And then there's the challenges of, as I said, of the enforcement of it. So a lot of work goes into one bill being passed, and that's really but we've first bill done. I'm on my second one now. I've started my second one.
So we'll go back to the start of the bill, right? So you've obviously had people who are concerned about, and we'll just take the example of the vapes. How does a bill start off? Does it start off by someone coming to you and going, we have a problem with this here. We need to, there has to be action done on this. Is that where it starts from?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll say single-use vapes, they're more commonly known as. So single-use vapes would be where we would see over the years, you could see it escalating. When vapes came in first. And look, vapes were always there originally to help people that were smoking to take a step down, which was fine too, and I do understand that too. So I'm very mindful of how vapes, how that happened. But then it became an issue where it was very much targeted single-use vapes now, because we will have vapes, so there'll be non-flavoured vapes. So there will always be a vape there. But the single-use vapes were very much targeted at our younger people. I actually had a case where I spoke to a lady there only a few months ago, and she said to me her daughter was getting her debs, and her biggest worry was that she would get a vape to match her dress. And that's what the reality is. But also in the single-use vapes, we had to be very mindful too, that because we're so much targeted at our younger people, and it's a health, I'm health, so everything about me is about health and how this can affect your health, so that we then started then on the legislation. So what would happen then is, so the bill then would be wrote through the department, then of course it would also then have to go through the Senate. So it has to go, there's two steps to it. So as I said, first of all, it has to go through into the Dáil, there'd be amendments, then it has to go to the Senate, there'd be amendments, then you have to go back and look at the amendments. And the opposition put in amendments, or sometimes your own party could put in amendments, and that's fair enough. So you have to go through all them. Then you go back and work with your European counterparts and say, look, this is what we're doing, and they work with us as well. And then when the bill is finally finished, like happened the week before, 2 weeks ago, before recess, the President signed off. She signs off on all bills, and she signed off on my first bill, so I was thrilled.
So I can see, just look at you here now, you were very proud of that. So that was your first ever bill.
That was my first bill.
So that was yourself bringing this to the table and getting it signed by the President.
Yeah.
Do you get to sign that document?
Oh, well, my name is on it for life now. So my name is on this bill for life, and then the President's name is on it as well. And now I'm looking at the second bill, which is, we have a lot worked on that too within my own department, where we're looking at banning the different colours and flavours and packaging, because you see yourself in shops now, you can see a lot of, and these yummy gums they're called as well. So that's my second bill now will be there'll only be nicotine flavour. Like we have to be very careful with the flavours. There's so many flavours now. So my second bill now is looking at all the different flavours and the packaging and the colours. And you know the way if you go into a shop now, in certain shops that sell vapes, they're like, you can see them all on the counter when you walk in, or where I'm going to have them like cigarettes, they will be behind shutters.
Okay.
So it's important now that they're not seen there. You know what I mean? I think you know yourself when you walk in and you see all the different colours and flavours and packaging, they kind of get your eye. The one thing I am looking at, which is going to be part of the second bill, is if it is only a vape shop and sells only vapes, then that might have to be left like where it can be seen. But if you sell other products in a shop besides vapes, then I'm like going in maybe to a market or a supermarket or shops like that, I want to put the shutters down like cigarettes. You have to just say, can I get my vape? Yeah.
And from your first initial thoughts on the bill, going back, how long did that take?
Oh, at least a year and a half to nearly 2 years since I went in. Oh, it takes so much time.
Because everyone has to, whatever department they're in, or does this affect that person? Does it affect this? Does it affect the legislation? You're going to your European counterparts and they're going, hold on, what we've done in Germany, what we've done in France. So they're actually going, hold on here, this is what we've done. And actually, the Irish now have come up with another kind of thing here. This could actually be something that we could introduce in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, we work so well with our European counterparts, and the main thing would be that, like, and I always say this to people, particularly, as I said, because it's so targeted at our younger people, this is health-led, but also it is about working with our other countries, because we learn from them too. Like, we do learn from them. So it is good for us, and the colours, flavours and packaging is a big thing for us as well now. That'll take a bit more work, but I am hoping to get that through by the end of the year. Like, that's how far we've come on this bill now. So I will know more by the end of the year.
Jennifer, you mentioned that you're on recess. Now, is recess another word for holidays, Jennifer? Or you're never on holidays when you're a politician, are you? No,
absolutely not. And I think there is always that confusion with people. Absolutely not. Look, it's great to get the recess that you're not in Dublin 3 days a week, because, Paddy, the Dáil, like, sits 3 days a week, as you know, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays. Like, Wednesday night would be our late night because it's our voting night, so we could often be there till 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe 12, whatever, but that's okay too. And then, of course, you're at your committees, then you're speaking. As a minister now, I don't go in as much and off on the floor as much, because I take the questions now. So whether it's a topical, whether it's commencements, I take them now as a Minister of State. So now it's different. As a TD, I could go in for the 3 days and I could ask the questions, but I can't do that as much now because I take a lot of the questions in my own remit. So I do. But then, look, it's great, and that's brilliant. And then, as you said, we go on the recess for the summer. Like last week now, I had Minister Dara Calleary down. We visited Carlow. We were in Kilkenny. And, you know, it's all about, for me, promoting you know, like meeting people, because there is the challenges there too. You have to let people know that you are accessible, that you are there for them. I'll say the only thing that I feel that brings us challenges for all politicians is it's the length of time scale you're trying to get work done, how quick you can move it. Even as a minister, I find, you know, we have our challenges too, but even as a TD, when you're trying to get work done too, it can take a bit longer than you want, but unfortunately that happens.
Yeah, and we have the Amplify here, have the two guys, we've Ben and Brian there doing their own podcasts here, and Ben has said that he was going to get into politics and he was going to change this and change that until they had to sit down over budgets and where is it going to be allocated and is this going to be done. So it was, you know, it's a little bit of an eye-opener because, as you said, you're trying to get a solution for that problem.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just can't happen overnight. It has to go through that process. But as a minister and as a TD, you're trying to get rid of that red tape, that bureaucracy too. And I'd say that's a constant minefield as well. Yeah,
no, absolutely. There is a lot of red tape and there's no point in saying differently. And if you just look at even the projects that I've been working on, and I'm fully committed to and I won't rest till they're finished. Like if you look at Holy Angels now, for example. So Holy Angels is on the capital plan now nearly 4 years. But the capital plan is announced every year, but normally for a project on a capital plan it could take 5 years to actually get it to ready to be the shovel in the ground. So that's one thing I'm very passionate about. And Holy Angels will be the only Section 39 ever built from the HSE, which is a first of its kind. So
And
it's not a
that's in
HSE
Carlow.
building. That's in Carlow. That's in Kelvin Grove. We're moving really on that now. I think the last year really moves it, but it is. Look, it's too long. But when you go on the capital plan, it does take at least 5 years. And then you look at the ambulance paramedics, that's also going to be built there, which will be state of the art. Again, that's on the capital plan. You know, it will happen. Again, I'm trying to push it as quick as I can, but there's the challenges. And then there could be others on the capital plan that will get done quicker because they're there on it longer. So again, it's all about timing. And then, of course, look, when it comes to school projects, today I had the good announcement that the Women's Refuge got extra funding, more funding, at stage 2 it's called, for the Women's Refuge. The planning is ready to go in now. That was its own challenges as well. I've saw the drawings.
Where's that, Jennifer?
The Women's Refuge is up on, it would be the Dublin Road as we would know it now. Yeah, and it's lovely. It would have been the old St. Vincent de Paul building there. The building it's a building that needs to be all revamped. There was challenges with parking, but we have that nearly sorted. I'm happy enough that we're nearly there on that. I work with Amber, will be the main lead in this. You know, Amber's Women Refuge in Kilkenny. Lisa, I constantly work with Lisa on that. So now we got that this morning. Their plans are ready to go in now as well. Again, it's moving. I can't see that probably ready now until maybe late 2027, early 2028, once it starts moving. But the funding is there, but we just need to move on.
The steps have started.
Yeah, absolutely. The steps have started on all these projects because they're there a while, but unfortunately there would be other projects that would be ahead of that are nearly finished now, and then my projects now are really going to start coming into being done. And I'm constantly working on them, like school bills. We need to do a lot more on that. I'm working on that. So that's my own, would you say, as my own remit in Carlow, as for the people that voted for me, these are the projects that I want to deliver for them. And I only did a little video last week, Paddy, I don't know if you saw it. The builders are now going in to start the injury clinic. So that's really good. So that's working with the Kilkenny Hospital. Again, that's really important for the people of Carlow, so that they are able to access, you know, if whether it's an x-ray, if you break a leg, or if you want to get your bloods done. Because if you get your bloods done in Carlow, you have to go early to get them sent to Waterford. So the injury clinic is really another big step. So
that's up by St. Dipnis.
That's in St. Dipnis. So that will be part of St. Dipnis now, which is a fabulous building, Paddy. So there's a lot of work being done, but the injury clinic will be up and opened really soon now. The builders are going in, I think, in 2 weeks now, I think.
I was, as I was doing my research, I was amazed to just to read about, to become a TD is tough enough, but to become a minister, I would say, looking at it from the outside here in Carlow, like, oh my God, you're only one of so many people that can be a minister. And now you're one of them. Like, I'd say for your own family, such a proud moment that you can, you know, I was Minister of State for Department of Health. You can always say that I'm really representing the people of Carlow, not only as a TD, but as a Minister of State. Now, how does that feel for you?
Oh, look, it's a great honour. And Paddy, I had challenges too. I was first elected to the council, Carlow Town Council as was. So we used to have town councils and then we had county councils. But as you know, that's all changed now. It's county council, but it's municipal councils. And in 99, I was co-opted then onto Carlow Town Council. And then I would have had a love of politics because my dad was a councillor for years before that. So I always had the love of politics. It was something, I always say politics is a calling because, you know, it is 24/7. It is something that you really need to love because you are on call all the time. And then in 2016, I went for the Dáil and I got one of the highest first preference votes in the country. Didn't get elected. I was gutted.
Right, so we'll go back to that election 2016. You've put your head on the plate. You're on the page to become a TD in Carlow, and you get so close. Do you go, that's it now? You know, I have to wait another 4 or 5 years now to get back. What was the thoughts at that stage?
Look, I was devastated. I might as well tell you, I was devastated to do so well, to have got over nearly 8,500 first preference votes and not get elected. And in the early hours of the morning, it was kind of thought, oh, I think she might get elected. And I was really delighted. And then as the day went on, I knew, because the transfers were, I was kind of basically on a vote that I didn't seem to transfer. So I was devastated. And I remember then going back up to my own party and sitting down with Fianna Fáil and saying, look, I don't want to give up. I really, really don't. I think it made me more determined. I kind of felt, look, I did so well and I was so appreciative of all those nearly 8,500 people that voted for me. I felt I owed it to them. And no, I did cry. I might as well tell you, it took me a week or two. I had to cry.
Cry,
oh, I did. I was devastated. No, I will tell you, I shed a few tears. And I remember then going up and I met with the Fianna Fáil and I said, look, I really would like to go for the Seanad. And I had a good story to tell. And I did. In 2016, I got elected to the Seanad and I loved it. But I was always preparing myself again to go for the Dáil. The Dáil was while I was honoured to be a senator, don't get me wrong, but the Dáil was where I felt was more aligned to me and it was more what I wanted to do as a politician.
And with that 8,500 people that gave you the first preference, because to get a number one vote, it's tough business, right? Because you're one of whatever 10 people looking for that vote in Carlow. Would your party have said at the time, do you know what it is, we need to get you into Shannon Éireann here because you've got this amount of first preference votes. We now can get you into a position that you're actually have a say here in some things to do. Then we can lead on to 4 or 5 years' time to get you onto that podium, hopefully. Like, that's where the determination comes in then for the next 4 or 5 years. You've got to go to Shannon Éireann to do your bit.
Yeah.
Did you find it a little bit strange for your first time going to Shannon Éireann, from going from a councillor into Shannon Éireann?
Yeah, because the Senate is a totally different challenge in itself, because you're going around the whole country and you're meeting all your Fianna Fáil councillors, your colleagues that you would know. And like that, they all want a senator in their own area. But I think because my story was so good as well, that the fact that I got nearly 8,500 first preference votes, I was really unfortunate. And I find, and I will say this, it is more challenging for women, Paddy, than it is men. And I would say that. But I had to go on the campaign. I got a panel. I went on the campaign. I canvassed morning, noon, night. I went on nearly a 6 weeks campaign. I was left my home for 6 weeks, packed up my bags. I canvassed everywhere. I had councillors in different towns and that helped me as well. But I will say my own colleagues, the councillors at the time, Johnny Pender did a lot of work, Councillor Arthur MacDonald, all the councillors there at the time were so good to me and drove me and helped me. Sean Fleming was very good to me, Pádraig Fleming. So there was a team that came behind me and helped me, because it is important, because it's very hard to drive 7 days a week. You do need someone with you. And then in an area, you would need someone that would know an area locally, because you could be going to the top of Donegal. But look, I was so honoured when I did get the Seanad. I loved the Seanad. Like that too, was learning. I was learning every day, and I had an office here in Carlow as well. I opened up an office here and I started my work. But I was, when I was in the Seanad, getting ready to run for the next general election. Like that was my commitment when I had, I was delighted to get elected, but I knew I wanted to go back again for the Dáil.
But visibility is key there, isn't it? You've got to get out. If you want to put yourself forward, you've got to be there. You've got to have the access. And just as Susan, I know she's listening out there, your representative with you. Have they ever told you, if you hold the baby and cuddle into it, you might get another couple of votes? I just see with Charlie Haughey used to do that years ago. Now I don't think I was even born, but I remember all the pictures. Yeah. So, like, is there ways that, you've got to portray yourself in this light? Because I'd say, Jennifer, it can be a lonely place, kind of, at times. Oh yeah, and I'm lucky now at this hour of my life that I had my children when I was young. My 4 kids, I have 2 boys and 2 girls. And when I, as a councillor, they were still young, but that was fine, because as a councillor, you're in the town, you're not, you don't travel to Dublin every day, you're at local events, so you're able to go to school, you're able to pick them up. And I worked in Graham's Shoes at the time, and I had the 2 jobs, so that was fine. But actually going into national politics is a different challenge, because you are gone 3 days a week. And as a minister now, I do a lot of visiting my own, I could do the different centres around the country, whether it's
it's through drugs, whether it's through health and well-being. I would visit a lot of places around the country, and that's part of what you do as a minister, which is fine. So you could end up you could be gone 5 days a week now as a minister. But, you know, when you are in politics, and particularly at national level, that in itself is a 24-hour job. You are committed, you are on call, you know, and that's okay, because that's what I love, and that's what I know. I know no different, and that's what I love. And
if I go back then, so obviously your dad was in the council. Like, was there a case of going, geez, I like what Dad does here. I see you representing the people of Carlow here. And was there a spark to say, do you know what it is? I'm a people's person, because you mentioned Graham's, which we all know is
Graham's shoes, yeah.
on Tullis Street there. So to be your own, working in the heart of Carlow town, especially when people are buying shoes, because you're getting to know people very well.
Yeah.
All right. Was there a spark you said, you know, I'm going to try this? I know you're co-opted. Like, what did it mean just to even start off in Carlow?
You see, I suppose when I look back now, and I was trying to think of this last night, I'd say I started canvassing at 13 or 14. So when my dad was running for local elections, I was out with him morning, noon and night. I was gone with Daddy. And I loved it. I loved the canvassing. I loved talking to people. I loved helping Daddy. So when people would come to the house or phone calls, I used to start doing all his notes for him. I used to take all his minutes. You know, Dad was the real councillor of years ago. Piece of paper everywhere, so you could find 40 pieces of paper in Daddy's pocket, and you'd be trying to put them together. Well, who's such and such? Well, who's this Mary now, Daddy? Or who's this? So, you know, and that's where I knew I developed at a very young age a love for politics and a love for meeting people. And, you know, you can make such a difference to people. And I always say that, like, it's the little things, and people are so appreciative of what you do for them. So it's like everything. I knew years ago, and I used to say to Daddy, when you retire, I want to step in. And he knew, and he used to say even to my mother, who Mammy was very quiet person, and, you know, didn't go out that much or whatever. She was my mother was a real lady, and my mother used to say, you're going to go into politics. I said, Mammy, I love it, I really want to do it. And then we all kind of knew, my own family knew then, that was the road that I wanted to take.
And would your father have ever given you advice, Jennifer? I don't put words in your mouth. Would he ever said to you, like, this is a tough business here now, you are open, you're open now for criticism, you know?
Oh yeah, look, he would. But I don't think, when I look back now, it's different to the politics that I would have known years ago to what it is now with social media. Like, when you are a councillor, you are always there. And look, there is people that could come into you, you know, they might have a really serious issue. And, you know, you always have to be mindful when you meet a person on the day. Maybe did they have a bad day, or maybe could you have, you know, maybe could you do more for them? Sit down and talk. Look, I'm going to see if I can sort this for you. And the one thing I always say is, I always feel that if I can't do it for somebody, I don't think anybody else can. I'm always committed to that. And I always say to people, maybe if they have a bad day and they come in, I'll say, look, we'll go back at this again. We'll try this again. So look at like that. But overall, people are very good, very good.
And when you were in Carlow, and I know it's a different setup now than it was back then, and you've just mentioned social media, because we have access to you now. We can see everything you're doing. We can go onto the oireachtas.ie, we can see the bills you're passing, we can see the meetings that you're going to and all. Is there an intrusion now into your, not just your political life, but your personal life as well? Or do you feel that sense of that at all?
Well, it's different. I will say it's different. I think social media has totally changed things. I'm very mindful of that. I have someone that does my social media for me. And just even an example of, I would get asked to so many things, Paddy, and I'm very honoured to be asked to go to so many things. And I try and get to so many things, say. And then on social media, it could be like, oh, she's only there for the picture, or she's only there for 5 minutes. You know, and I always say, look, when someone asks me, I never try and offend anyone. I always try and go. So sometimes you could have 6 events on in one night. That's the reality. Or you could have 4. So I always do my best to go to places to say, look, you gave me an invite. I really appreciate it. I'd love to stay longer, but unfortunately I have other events to go to. And then you'd see all this on media. Oh, she's only popping in for the picture, or, you know, she's only there for that. And it does hurt. Look, are you asking, does it hurt? It does. You do feel, look, the way a person say, you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. So you just have to find the balance of, when I'm asked to something, like unless I'm in the Dáil or unless I'm at something that I can't go, I always try and go to I always am very mindful. It's the people of Carlow that elected me, Carlow, and Kilkenny. I'm always mindful that I try and go to as many events as I can, because I am very much focused on Carlow, because I am, very much, always have been, and always would say, I always promote Carlow, because I always feel we need to do that for Carlow, always.
And it's amazing because you have yourself at the bottom of Tulla Street, or are you top of Tulla Street?
I'm top of Tulla Street.
So you're top of Tulla Street, and then we've Catherine at the bottom of Tulla Street, and it's amazing to see two parties. It's amazing to see two women from Carlow, along with Cynthia, in Europe, in European politics. I think what a privilege it is for us as Carlow people to have three committed Carlovian scallionators, fighting for us back, whatever that is whether we're trying to get a funding or trying to do something, whatever. But I think, and being in the business world here in Carlow, of the connections that this all brings, but I would say, isn't it amazing to have three local people from your own county just in there, in the mix?
Oh, absolutely. It's great. And it's great to have Catherine and Cynthia. It's great for Carlow. It's great for promoting Carlow. But also it's great to see that three women were elected, because there is the challenges for women. I always say that, and I would say it publicly. Like, while, I work very well with all my colleagues in whether it's Fianna Fáil or whether it's in government, but it is a lot male dominated, and it is great to see three of us, Carlow, born and bred, working for the people of Carlow, and absolutely, and a fair, and you have to give credit to the people of Carlow for giving us those votes, for giving us the honour of representing them, but also, having the faith in us that we will work for them. And I think I'm always mindful of that. I've got to, people voted for me because they know that I will work for them, and that's what and I know I do as well. We have to do that, and that's something that I'm very much committed to.
And when it came there for the last election, the 34th Dáil, and there was a big push here in Carlow to get as many TDs, I think we can start to see the fruits of that now. More business coming here to Carlow. Look, we get the stories, there's businesses closing down, but there's also businesses opening up. There's a lot happening in Carlow that maybe we're not seeing or not hearing until it comes there, and it's there and then. But you as the minister are constantly having to pitch for extra funding. And I think I was at an event a couple of months ago, and I can't remember, it was the Taoiseach or the Tánaiste that was there, Simon Harris, and they always said that yourself and Catherine are always knocking on the door for extra funding. Yeah. But is that what it's like? It's like, hold on here now, there's a project here in Carlow, we have to do something here. Yeah, no, absolutely. And both of us are, and that's for sure. And even like we have an excellent local authority here. We have Colleen O'Reilly, the chief executive, who works so well with the councillors, and the URDF, the town centre, will start in January. Again, that took a bit of time with plans and drawing, and I always say that to people. Things take longer than we expect, and I think people say, oh, I can't see it happening, but it will happen. I only had a meeting with Colleen there before he went on holidays, so we will see the URDF, the town centre, being revamped. And even yesterday I went over to Fair Green, so I walked from Fair Green, I was on Barrack Street, I actually met Mark Carpenter, I was talking to Mark Carpenter, and just that little walkway now that brings you to the town centre. All these things are going to make a big difference. You see all the paint scheme around the town centre now, and you can see it on Dublin Street. They're now on Tulla Street, they're going Barrack Street, and even all the markings on the town centre, the roundabouts, and then of course, as you know, the council now have CPO'd the derelict buildings on the town centre as well. So all this is really starting to come right now, and it's after taking that time, but I can, and I know others have said it to me, we can absolutely see those changes now that are coming. And look, the other thing is for us too, we are a university town and county now, so with that too is a lot of, it brings a lot of students into the town, so that's another thing too that is really important for us. And again, it's all about creating jobs and bringing employment, and I'm always promoting employment in Carlow. I always say we're so central to Dublin, Paddy, that
our ideal location is brilliant. And I know working with the council, there's a lot of housing projects now that are coming to fruition as well. Again, it takes time, but that is happening. So, and again, can I just say about you with the Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's important to mention the really good work that our Chamber of Commerce do as well in promoting shop local, support local, because there is the challenges of online. People buying online again. So like it is important always to shop local and support your local shops,
Just a shout out there, I know they've done a big change in the shop local. They've changed it out to Graw Carlow, which, new colours and, it's just fantastic to see local people born and reared and come into Carlow as well, whether to set up life. And you talk about Setu there and you talk about the university. Some people will go to college here in Carlow from anywhere, but when they've done their degree, they might tip off to Australia or America, whatever, but they might actually come back and set up in Carlow because they really might have enjoyed life when they were in college. So you're hoping to, while you're here, come on, stay down here. So when you're walking around and you're talking to all your, people coming into your constituency and having a chat, and you're going to all these meetings, you're going to networking events, the connection of people is very key though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, look at I've as a Carlow person born and bred, Carlow people are so good. Like they really are. And like with politics, you get your downs. There's no point in saying different. You get maybe where something that you're working on mightn't come the way you wanted, or maybe, somebody might say something to you, but they mightn't mean it to. And you always have to leave yourself in a situation where you work with everybody. But when you deliver for your projects and when you're able to help somebody, that in itself, I just really feel is a game changer for me. And it is about letting people know that there is help and support there. And as I said, look, a pothole, it could be just something so simple, but the people of Carlow are really so good. And it is a very minority of people that are just, that might have the challenges or they might be happy with certain things, but that's okay too. You just work with them too.
And as being up in Dáil, we've 26 counties and represented in Dáil there. Is the perception of us scalionators up there, or are we punching? Are we fighting Carlovians up there? What way do people perceive us?
Yeah, we would be known for knocking the doors, both Catherine and myself. We would be known for the fact that we would be, and Cynthia, through her own European job as well, we would all be known as putting Carlow, working for Carlow. And I know even myself within my own remit of health, I'm very mindful with the injury clinic. I'm now working the new second scanner for Kilkenny will be, I know that should be up and running soon. I meet with the HSE on a regular basis, looking at more beds for Kilkenny. I know within my own remit, and then within the services, say with the drug services and, information and awareness, I'm very mindful too within my own remit that I make sure that I deliver as much as I can for while I'm a minister for the whole country, but I'm also very mindful about services that I know need to be given as well, and where I can work on the best solution I can find for services and easier access. So there is always the challenges, yeah.
You mentioned Cynthia and Catherine there. Like, what's it like being a woman going for a council seat or a Dáil seat? Like, has that changed much since you started out in politics?
I do think, and I would be very much promoting women as a woman in politics. I do think, and I would say this, particularly on national level within Oireachtas, it's not, this is my own personal opinion now, it is a 7-day week. So if you have young children, it can be quite challenging. There's no question about that. On local level, while it is a small bit challenging, it's not the same because you are local and you are able to kind of mix the two. But at a national level, when you are in Dublin 3 days a week and some nights you might have to stay over, or there could be even an extra day of a committee, maybe you might have to go up separately as well. So I always say to women, and I would really say to women, you can change so many people's lives, and it is so rewarding. And I just feel we need to encourage more women into politics. I think it's something that we do look at long term. But when you see Carlow now, and I'd say Carlow is very unique. First of all, to have 3 women in such a small county elected, it just goes to show you the Carlow people are really ahead of themselves.
And we were very unlucky not to have a fourth.
Yes, we were.
We were in touch. That would have been, I'd say,
that would have been
unprecedented.
groundbreaking, yeah.
around the country.
Oh, groundbreaking. Absolutely groundbreaking. Yeah, absolutely. So, like, we can see it. And look, it is important. Like, I don't know, like years ago, even when I was a councillor and, you know, trying to get on the ticket, say, there was it was always tough. And I know MJ Nolan, who retired, and I would work very closely with MJ Nolan. But, you know, sometimes I think it is important to have those options there for women as well on a bigger scale. Now, while we work with them as well, and I always say, look, you get elected on your merit, not whether you're a man or a woman. And I'm always mindful of that. But it is important that we do have those options for women to run for local authorities and at national level. So it's good.
And when you say that, do you think women, do you approach politics different to us men? Or like, do you campaign or do you lead differently, do you think?
Well, I think we think sometimes differently. There's no question about that. We're very good at juggling, by the way. I might as well tell you, Paddy. We are. We're known for that. Yeah, I think women's would have a different viewpoint. And I think that's important. While a man's viewpoint is very important, but I do think women do look at things differently. So I think we need to have both views. And I think that brings the balance in political life, and I'm very mindful of that. I might look at something differently to others, but I just think it is important. But I also think it's important when you believe in something that you stand up and you fight for it, and you know when you know in your heart it's the right thing to do or it's the right way to go, that you just keep knocking the door for that and you just make sure that you do your best on it. And I think that's part of the process. You know, you have to love it, you have to be committed, and you also have to be on call 24/7, 7 days a week.
And you talk about balance there, but a lot of balance. We live in a country it's a democracy. So if you have an opinion, Minister, and if I have an opinion, I respect your opinion, but equally I'd be hoping that you would respect my opinion. Now, that it's not overly controversial or it's whatever, it's racist or anything like that, but I think everybody has a voice, and I think we should all be able to give our opinion in a good manner. Do you think through the social media kind of aspects is it getting a little bit too negative? And are we going down the negative path? Because negativity will sell more, or it'll be more conscious on the mind. There's a lot of positive stuff happening.
Yeah.
Do you think, please voice your opinion, but you've also got to listen to other people?
Well, you see, yeah, and I think it is important that people have expressed their opinion. And look, you mightn't always agree with it, but you respect it. But then you have to be careful when you say things, because you can offend someone, but you also offend their family. Like, things can be said to people, and you're saying, well, why would someone say that? Like, there's the balance of respect, and I think it's very important that everybody is respected and given the respect that they deserve. But sometimes, the old saying, words hurt. Sometimes words can be said and they can hurt. So it's to get the balance. And I just think, look, the one thing, I don't know, Paddy, whether it's with age or what, the one thing I have learned in my years of politics is you are better to work with people and try and get that solution than say, oh no, I won't do this, because everybody's important. We're all equal. We're all might have our different, different opinions on things, but everybody's entitled to their opinion and everybody's entitled to respect. And I think when you don't do that, that in itself then brings bigger challenges to someone.
And with a country like Ireland ourselves, like, anyone can put their name on a ballot sheet. And I think that's so important to a democracy, because you can go and represent whoever you're trying to represent. But I think that's the key, that we're a free country and that we're able to do, as best as we can for each other. Is that missed at times? Yeah,
I think it is. I think it is important that people are able to access you. I think as a politician, it is important that people know we are there for them. And look, as you would have seen, I now had to change my whole system in my office now. I have a system gone in where it's important, like, people are always welcome. My door is open 24/7, or I will meet anyone, anywhere, anytime. But we now see a change. I see the change in society. While, as I said, it's only a very small minority, it is there. So, Like, we are accessible, and I think people need to know that as a politician, you are always there for them, you know. And I think that needs to get out more. I think we need to get more positivity out there than more negativity. I try not make anything negative. I'm very mindful of that. I think positivity will breed positivity, and that's what we have to do going forward. And as a politician, I think it's important that while we deliver on as much work as we can, but that we are there. And that's what I said even when I'm asked to events. For me, it's an honour to be asked to events. And I always feel if I'm asked, I like to say thank you, and I'll do my best to get there, even if it is only half an hour. But, you know, I think it's important when you're asked, and it's you know, it's nice to be asked. And I always think, look, you do your best to get and help people.
You mentioned there, and you're quite active on social media. I was actually watching a video of you this morning down in Barrack Street doing your just doing the walk through between Fairgreen and up to Tulla Street there. You put up a post, and your team puts up a post, and the comments. Does it ever just hit you and go? Oh,
I don't want. Yeah, I do my videos, and I as I said, I have staff doing my media for me, my social media for me. I had a very bad experience on social media a few years ago where the comments, look what happened at the time, but it affected me. And I remember thinking at the time then, look, social media is the way forward. So I needed to get the balance. So I do monitor it, but I don't look at the comments. I just don't look at comments anymore now. And But
did you, Jennifer?
Oh, in the beginning I did, yeah. And then I had to stop. I actually had to stop then because it started to affect me. And it wasn't just affecting me, it was also affecting my family. So like, your family are also monitoring it and they're looking at it. And I used to just say to my family, look, people are entitled to say what they want to say, and I have to respect that. And I do. So while I do all my videos, and I might, you know, I want to wish the Carlow girls well on Sunday,
yep.
Yes, and it's great, and gosh, it'll be a great day for them. But I don't watch the comments anymore now. I just had to not watch them.
It was getting a little bit personal.
Yeah, and look, it was that it would affect you. So, you know, like, and I felt that the less I knew on the comments, the better. And I'd always say to my staff, if there's an issue maybe that we need to talk to someone about, we need to maybe contact them and work with them too. Like, you don't want anyone feeling that, you know, you're not connecting with them either. If there's something put up about a concern they have, the girls will take it, they will give it to me. I'll try and contact that person. So we always have contact. But on the comments itself, no, I just do my posts and stuff like that, but I don't know.
But as you said, though, the social media now is so important because you are expected now, not only as a TD, but as a minister, to always be visible, to be there when something happens, or, you know, to be seen at these events or whatever. Does it come a bit challenging that, I couldn't make that for a certain organisation, or I couldn't make that for that? Do you ever just sit back and go, I'm so busy that I'd love to do a little bit more around the place?
It's the balance. And, you know, and I'm very mindful as a minister that I get the balance, that while I'm a Minister of State in the Department of Health, then I do my work there. But I also am elected by the people of Carlow. So I'm always mindful of that. So I always work at least 2 days a week in Carlow. And then on Saturdays, if I have to go to events or do things, I would work or meet people. So you need the balance. And I have to and I work on the balance. So I do. So that was important for me. And, you know, when you have a team with you, they're brilliant too. So if you're not able to go to something, some of my team will go, or if people come into the office and maybe I got called away to a meeting, and because sometimes with the department you could end up going to a meeting quite quick, the girls will be there. So, you know, it's important for people to feel they're welcome, and it's important for people to know that you're there for them. And that, you know, someone said to me recently, oh, sure, you're a minister now, what do you get time to do? And I said, no, I'm a TD for Carlow first. I'm a minister. And I'm honoured to be a minister, but at the end of the day, it's the people of Carlow elected me, and I have to make sure and look after them too.
You say about that things can change very fast. So the department might want you to do something, but we'll just say, for instance, media, right? We've the national radio stations, we have the TVs. Sometimes a quick call might come in and go, Jennifer, will you come on tonight or come on this evening? And you mightn't be prepared. Can that be daunting?
Yeah, but you'd have to go back to your department and go through your, too. You'd be working with your department on that too now. So it is. And look, I try and get on. Look, it's not easy going on media now, let me tell you. You're always afraid, oh, will I say this wrong or did I say that wrong? And that's human nature at its best. But it's to get the balance. And yes, sometimes you would and you go on and you do your best, or you come out and say, oh God, I hope I didn't say anything wrong. But you're trying to think, oh, did I say that right or did that come out right?
And have you ever been in because this is a light-hearted conversation.
Yeah.
Have you ever been across from that presenter going, why did you ask me that question?
Oh, you're thinking, oh my God, how do I say that now without? How do you find the right answer? Yeah, of course. Look, that's the way it is, and it's trying to make sure that you're given the right answer and how you deliver it too. And language is, and how you say words is really important too. Oh yeah, gosh, yeah.
Did you have to be taught, Jennifer, the language? Did you have to be taught to say things in a particular way? I'm just interested from a politician, because you said here that the words can hurt and hurt deep, where you mightn't have meant to say something a certain way, but people pick up things a little bit different.
Yeah.
Did you have to learn that yourself, or did you have to get someone in, I need to have a chat here?
No, I had to learn it myself. I had to learn to bite my tongue. I had to learn to, not to react.
You wouldn't be a Carlow person if you didn't bite your tongue.
And you had to learn, not to react sometimes. But then sometimes something could be said and when you think about it, it wouldn't be, you might have picked it up wrong, or maybe I might have said something to someone, or maybe, oh my God, I just say, oh, hope that didn't come out right, or I might ring the woman, or I might think, should I ring someone? Did I say that right, or did it come right? So look, that is part of learning, but it does come, that you do have to learn to try and make sure that when you are delivering, that your delivery is right, that you particularly as my own brief of minister now, because that's really important. But then as a person, I am what I am, and I try and be, I'm Jennifer Murnane O'Connor. I'm a Carlow born and bred woman. I'll always be a Carlow woman. I'll always be there. I'll always be accessible. And then, that when I meet someone, hello, how are you? And rightly so, because that's what I am, and that's why I love politics.
You're in the Dáil chamber and it's 1 o'clock at night, and we're watching on Oireachtas TV, and we see that you've got a big, massive 10-page script in front of you and you're talking. You might, for the listeners, say, how does that all come about? Because I doubt you're typing that out for yourself, are you? Because you wouldn't have the time, Jennifer, would you?
No, so that's working with your department. So say now, for example, as a minister, I take topicals. So I could take topicals now on any health issues around the country. So working with the department, then it could be, what's the update on the injury? I'll give you an example. So what's the update on the injury clinic for Carlow? And then I'd work with the department. They'd come back to me with the where it's at now. So no, absolutely, your department work with you at all times. And you could have a topical on anything, but you could be taking topicals at 12 or 1 in the morning, absolutely.
And does that question come from the TD opposite you, or can we say that, can Catherine Callan come to you with a question and you have to answer that question?
Yeah.
So anyone in that, whether it's a party member or not, they might go to you, Minister, what's happening in Carlow with the injury clinic?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to come back and go through all your... So that's simply how and the chief whip, then they're the guys that put this all together.
Yeah. So what would happen is, say, for example, okay, so the topicals, you could have 5 on the one night now at 1 o'clock in the morning. They could be all different. But any TD can put in a topical. And then if, once it's health, I only take mainly the health ones, but if I'm on front bench cover, I could take any topicals. And in the Shannon, they're called commencements. So I take a lot in the Shannon as well. So yeah, so any TD can come, whether it's Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Social Democrats, Labour, anyone can put in, and then there's a certain amount picked. So maybe 100 topicals could go in a week, and there could be maybe 15 picked over a 3-day time. And then if it's health, I will take them unless I'm on front bench cover, and then I take whatever is on that day.
Like the scheduling, it must be down to it has to be down to a fine art, doesn't it? The scheduling of the whole of the Dáil.
Yeah. It is.
Time wise, so you may only have 10 minutes to, and then the other TDs maybe have 2 minutes, depending on your party. Then your time slots. Is it fair that way though?
Look, I think it's a system that is working. Look, I know Minister Mary Butler, who's the whip of our party, but also she'd work with the Taoiseach. She would be, very much involved in the day-to-day running of what happens in the Dáil. She has made changes on, like, sometimes originally when I was a TD first, you could be waiting maybe within votes, it could be 5 or 6 minutes before your second vote, and yet you could, whereas now it's only 2 minutes. It can be a short bell, as they say. So there has been changes, but as a minister, you do take the questions, and look, it's an honour to take them, whether it's topical or commencement. It's a system, I think, it's a system that is working really. There'll always probably be changes in it, but I feel it's fair enough, to be honest, now.
When you first went up, it's a workload in itself to get to understand how legislation works and how acts and how bills work. Like, when you went up there, first of all, were you like, oh my God, I did not know this happened inside in this place?
Yeah, so much work. But also you have so many committees. Now, I'm not on committees anymore as a minister, but as a TD, originally, like when I went up as a senator and a TD, I was on maybe 5 committees. So you know the way sometimes people say, oh, but there's not many in the chamber. But you could be on a committee on housing. You could be on a committee to do with mental health. You could be on a committee to do with, like, there's so many committees, higher education. It doesn't matter. Everyone is assigned, all TDs and senators are assigned a certain amount of committees. So you could be on 4 or 5 committees, and you could have maybe 5 or 6 committee meetings within those 3 days as well. So you are at committee meetings as well. So it is, absolutely, it is busy. But it's a great honour to be busy, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
So your kids are looking at you on the TV, they're hearing you on KCLR, or they're hearing you here now today. Do they ever just go, oh, Mum, what have you done?
No, I have to say, my kids now, my 4 kids are married now, by the way, Paddy, so I'm a granny.
Ah, Jennifer,
Yes,
no.
I have 4 kids.
What did I say? You never ask a lady her age, so I'm not
I
going to ask.
I went into politics very young. But no, my kids are married now, and I'm a granny. So, but look at like that. I was lucky in the sense that, like, through my journey with my family, I was a councillor. So, like, when I was a councillor, they were all, at college. They're all quite steps of stairs. But they know I love it. They wouldn't want it any other way for me. They know it's my life. Like, I was always so close to my mum and dad. Like, when my kids were smaller, they were always in with my mammy and daddy and my sister Catherine. So we were always a very close family, as other families are. So my kids knew not only politics, because when I was in with dad and mum, there was always people calling, and I was always there. And then I think it just became a natural thing for me to just go into this. And, I'm not a big social person, Paddy. I don't go out much. I'm really more into, I suppose everyone has time that they like to themselves. So for me, it's walking. I love to walk or go to the cinema, or I like to actually clean the house when I get a chance. I like to clean the house.
Jennifer, we can get robots for that now if you want, you know that.
So that's what I like. And then, of course, my grandkids and a bit of family time and some family time as well. So I'm very much on that. But no, my kids, they know that this is my calling in life, and they're happy for me, and they were very honoured when I became a minister. Like, they were so excited for me that they knew that was one of my, I suppose everyone has a dream in life, and mine was to become a minister. So when I got that call, it was, oh my God, it was life-changing for me, because it was something that I always wanted to be, was a minister. And
there's no doubt that your dad would be very, very proud of you, and I'd say that's been, exceptional for your family. And people, look, people don't probably see that. We see, the All Ireland yesterday, like the work and the hardship that goes into these things, and eventually you get there. Your dad, he didn't come from a political family though, did he? No, Daddy was a Tipperary man and came up to work here in Carlow. I met my mother, Mary O'Shea, and then that was it then. But he loved Carlow. He absolutely loved Carlow. He was always, though, like, he would have been very much involved in politics when he came to Carlow. Like, there was always, at that stage, Fianna Fáil would have been very much, there would have been a lot of party meetings, common meetings as we would know them now, and he was very much involved in that. And then he ran for the council. I'm sure it's over. He must have been nearly 30-something years, 40 years as a councillor. And then that was his love too. He worked at Terraza. He was known as Jimmy Terraza, because that was the flooring and that he did. I'd say a lot of guys here on listen to this will know your father very well, Terraza. Yeah. Jimmy Terraza. And I have a picture of him in my office, and I always say it's a very lucky picture. I got a picture
picture of my dad, and I always have it. So anyone that comes in would say, oh God, I remember your dad well. So, you know, it is an honour, like, because Daddy did go for the Seanad over the years and he didn't get elected. And when I got elected to the Seanad the first time, I remember thinking to myself, oh, he'd have been so proud. And he would, because like when you love politics, it's great to have a family member that has the love that he had, that I have as well.
You just mentioned there about shutting off. Is it hard as a politician? You're walking around your town, you're walking around your constituency, and you're kind of going, oh, we need to get this done. Or is it hard to shut off, Minister, from it all?
I never shut off, Paddy. No, I don't. I never shut off. I would always be working. Like, you know, even on a Sunday, I'd have bits to do, or I could have reading to look up on maybe legislation. But that is what that's the type of person I am. I'm that type of person that I'm always going. And it seems to be, and my dad was the same. We just constantly go. So I don't know anything different. And, you know, part, as I said, for meeting the grandkids or going for a walk on a Sunday or bit of dinner out or something, I'd be happy out with that. That really suits me. And I'm off to Lourdes next week with the pilgrimage, by the way. Great Cullen are celebrating Bradley's, you know Bradley's pub? Mr. Bradley started the pilgrimage to Lourdes 50 years ago this year in August. And I think there's nearly 300 people going. Now I do, Paddy, the one thing I do every year now, and a lot of people don't know this, but I just, because it's my own personal life, but I go to Lourdes every year and I work in the Bats for a week. And I love it. I just give it up. It's something that I feel I can give back. So I work every year in the Bats, but this year I couldn't go with the group that were going because we were actually sitting in the Dáil. So I'm actually going with the Great Cullen group, Great Cullen Carlow, because there's loads of people from Carlow as well. And so it's 50 years they're celebrating. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going next week.
And would you believe in faith?
Yes.
Are you a religious person?
I am, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I am very,
Okay.
yeah, I would. Like, it's my own personal, but I would, yeah. I would go to Lourdes every year. As I said, I work in the Bats and I offer that up. But I would be very much, yeah, a mass goer, yeah. Yeah, very spiritual, yeah.
What's the biggest misconception people have about what TDs and Ministers' Week actually looks like?
Well, for me, the biggest thing that I think they do is that, and look, it's just a misunderstanding or a perception of, is that, you know, like, you asked me about recess there. Oh, you're off now for 6 or 8 weeks. Absolutely not. Or, you know, like, oh, we don't see you anymore. But like I could be anywhere. Do you know, while I mightn't be where they are, I try and get to everywhere. So I just think there's the perception, if they don't see you, that you're not working, but you are.
So
I think that's the only thing.
When I see you walking down the street now the next day, oh, here she is again, walking the town.
Yeah, no, it is, and look, that's just the way things are. But it's just to say, look, we're on recess, but we're working. Like, my week will be next week. That will be my holiday, going to Lourdes, which I love. And that's what I'll do, and I'll be happy then I'll be back then to normal after that then. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to next week.
And is there anything there, like, you've come up with a few things there, like, is there anything there in your political life that actually surprised people? If they were to, say, if I was to shadow you today, right, went up to your office, say, I'm going to stand beside you, would there be anything there now that I'd be surprised and go, holy God, I never knew you did this?
Well, I think it's the amount of people we meet and the amount of work I do would really shock people. Like, the amount of work that goes out of my office and what we do on a daily basis, I think would shock people. And I just think, with a team of girls that I have, and they're excellent, I just think people mightn't realise the amount of work that comes into our office and the amount of work that we get through on a daily basis. Absolutely. And I think, like, people are surprised. Even if you look at it, I sometimes take girls on work experience, or boys, when they come into me, and they always say when they're leaving, oh my God, we didn't realise your office was so busy.
We thought you did nothing. And you mentioned there that, you know, you've 5 or 6 people that work on your behalf, but it's employment, it's the whole lot, but they're also representing your thoughts and your whatever you're trying to enact your bills. But again, it's another connection that, and I see Susan out there, and I know Nicola works for you as well, but there are also Carlow people as well involved in your. Is that important that they know what's going on?
Oh, absolutely. And they are me. I always say to them when I'm in Dublin, girls, you're me. Suzanne, Nicola, Jade, Jodie, Pamela, absolutely brilliant. You know what? Like, I have Bridge in Dublin and I have Niamh and them all. But I'm telling you, I'm blessed. Like, the team that I work with are exceptional, and we always say they're me. So if I can't go to something, which is very rare, and it's like I can't go, but I would send like one of the girls that say I'll go, and they're brilliant. So, but you know what? You're only as good as your team, and I know that too. Without the team, I wouldn't be where I am either, and without the councillors, and I think it's important that I do give me councillors a little shout. Because they are brilliant and they're very supportive, and without them too, I always say I'm very mindful, like, because knowing a lot of people are funerals, and if there's something going on, I say to Suzanne, ring your dad there, check that out for me.
And do you need to know that
Yeah.
when you go to the funeral now, Jennifer? Do you need to know the in-laws and the outlaws or who these people are? Do you?
Well, it's important that if you know someone, that you don't miss it, because I'm not around. Like, I'm in Dublin 3 days. That it is important that if there is someone that I would know well, or a family member, that I try and go to. And I think I've done that since my dad's time too. It's something, now I won't get to them all if I don't know them, but I would try like to get to a funeral that I would know the family. I'm very mindful of that if I know the family, I'd like to go.
Young people coming into politics. What do you think is stopping good people, capable, community-minded people forever from, not putting their name on that ballot?
I think social media plays a huge role. I think it in itself that is changing, because you can see everything can be, social media led. As you said, it is the way forward. And while social media does play a good role, but there can be a lot of negativity, particularly whether it's at national level or local level. I think that's the first thing. I think as a young mother, as a woman, I think that in itself brings other challenges. So there is the challenges out there, and it's how we work on that and encourage it. Because I will say this to anybody that's interested in politics, it brings so much, it is an honour and a privilege to represent people. And I think, there's so much good can come out of it. I would say, if you're anyway inclined, but I do think, is it maybe, how we look at a national system, maybe slightly different, or local level, like that women or men, young people, like, as well, in particular, as you said about young people, it is important. And also that they get the option to run. Like, it's not easy, first of all, put your name on a ballot paper, but secondly, even if you go through a political party, there could be others there as well. So it's trying to get that balance too. We were very lucky this time now, we got a young candidate elected as well. So look, it's like everything, we have the best of councillors, and we lost some brilliant councillors as well over the county. We lost an excellent one in Carlow too. So it does happen, but unfortunately, look, that's just the name of it.
You go about the local councillors here in Carlow, they are putting, their head above the parapet to put themselves onto a ballot box and to represent their constituency wherever they are in Carlow. That's not an easy thing, because now you've put yourself into the spotlight here, and what are you going to do for the people of Carlow? It's not easy if you're going in gung ho, because there is processes and there's things that have to be done. So making serious commitments can be a dangerous.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it can, and again, as you said, it's the red tape. It can be the time, and it can be also the delay on funding. You could say you got word from the department maybe 6 months ago, this funding is coming. It's coming, but you mightn't get it for another 6 months. So while you make the announcement, and then you're thinking, it's the balance as well. It's trying to draw down the funding. It's like our sports capital grants hopefully will be announced shortly now. And like that, all the clubs are getting ready for it. But like that too, it's a really good scheme. And I always call it sports capital grant. It's a different name this year. But that is so important too. And, but what I will say about Carlow is, and about a lot of, there's so much goodwill here. There's so much volunteering. The communities are great. We had the Pride of Place there in Carlow last Thursday, and we were actually in Tullow. It was brilliant. The community spirit there. Then we were in Ballymurphy, and oh my God, to see the goodwill. And without volunteers and community, we wouldn't be where we are today, because they are the life soul of a community and of Carlow.
But and it's so important. So Dara came down, Dara Cleary came down. And you were at that event, but it's so important that you're at those events too, because someone might say to you in the corner, thanks very much for that, or whatever, would you mind having a look at something else? I just think this could do us as well. So being open and connected to those people, but those people are able to go to your people and go, I didn't get a chance to talk to Jennifer, but would you mind having a look at this? So the networking part of things is huge. And I see you, Jennifer, at a lot of events, and you've a lot of people to get through, but it's important though, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And you always even feel when you go into a room that you make sure that you are connected to everyone, that you are accessible to everyone, because, you know, and then you're often thinking, oh God, did I get to talk to such and such one? Or just, Jane, I hope they didn't think I was ignoring them. So it is, look at, and you do need to say this, and I need to say this, that as a person, it's important that we are connecting with them, that they know that you are there for them. And look, sometimes people come in with things and you say, look, I don't know if I can do that, but I'll do my best. But going into a room there, you know, it's important to let people know, look, I'm here, I'm here to support you, and I'll do whatever I can.
You spent so many years building relationships across Carlow and Kilkenny, and clinics, communities, local businesses. You know, what have you learnt about the power of simply showing up and just knowing people? Yeah, no,
it's very important that anybody that comes to you, that they know that they can come to you. And you spoke about communication and respect earlier on. For me, it's all about when someone comes to you, you sit down, you listen, you communicate with them, you work with them, you get back to them. That's the really important thing, that you get back to them and say, look, I'm working on this, I'm doing my best, and you know, I really will try and get this over the line for you. And it's all about, again, the perception that you're there, you know, you'll do your best, and you're going to listen to them. And I think that's important.
You said that you bring in young girls and boys into to your consistency offices down below. So are you bringing them in, say, from transition year, they might want to come in or whatever? Isn't that so important? Or isn't that you're opening the door to this young person and going, come on in and see what the politics is like? Like, is there any one bit of advice you say to these people when they come? I know they're only 15 or 16, but we'll say the young person coming out of college and they want to go down this road. Is there any bit of advice that you would, that you're always consistently saying to them?
Yeah, I always say to them when they come in, because when they come into to my office, they are looking at politics. And I always say to them when they're finished, look at the good work that we do here. If you are interested in politics, it's important that you look at it, you put your name on the ballot paper, I'll help you, I'll support you. You know, it's important that you, if you want to do this, that you don't, you know, look at the challenges that are there too, that you just go for it. And look at, as I say to people, you mightn't always get elected on your first time. That sometimes can happen, sometimes it can't. But it is important to know that if you really want to get into politics and do the work that we're doing, that you are able to access it and do it. And I think that has to be the message to our young people, to, you know, because we need the young people. The young people are our future. And I always say that to them. I'll say, you are our future here in this office. So you can make those changes. And what happened now could be, in 10 years' time, could be totally different, you know, but you do need to make sure that if this is the road that you want, that you come to me or you go to others and you get advice on how you take that road.
But it's great to see young people actually interested in politics. They might know it now, but it is so important to be, you know, looking at the news, what's going on around the place. I'm probably opening up a job search here for you now, Jennifer. So what you're saying to me, you know, to all our listeners here, that if you want to get into politics, go down to the office there and we'll see what we can do for you.
Oh, look, sure, I'm there to help everybody. You know, like, as I said, politics is not for everybody because it is a calling. And I always say that to them. A politician's life is a full-on job, which is brilliant. But absolutely, if anyone wants to talk about politics or any young person wants to come to me, I get a lot of students from Leo's now that would come in on work experience, and I've had them from different schools around the county now. But yeah, and I'd always make sure to take them, because I think it's important that you let the young people see how a TD's office and minister's office work, so that they will see what the road ahead is like, whether it's through a councillor, whether it's eventually a TD or whatever. So that's why I'm always mindful when people come to me that I try as my best. Now, sometimes I could have two in at the one time, but I do try and work with them and get them in.
You know what I'm saying is, I could never do that. So if you believe you're in yourself, no matter what age you are, and you think that you have a role and you call it a calling, it's a profession, it's a 24/7 profession. Do you think as a society, whether that's in Carlow or all over Ireland or in Europe, do you think people see politicians, is society treating politicians different now because we've more access to it?
Well, things have changed over my 30 years. I'm nearly 30 years, as you know, in politics. I think things have changed. I think as a world we've changed. And I felt the biggest change in general was COVID. I think COVID changed everything. And then look at we are a changing world. Look at, you see climate change even as we talk now with the really warm summers, the really bad winters. So in general, everything has changed. And look at, as I said, the majority of people are so good. We have our challenges, whatever, but the main thing is that as politicians, you're there to represent your hometown and county, and that's the main thing.
If you weren't in politics, Jennifer, what would you do?
I never really thought about anything on politics, but I think I'd like fashion.
Would you?
If I didn't do politics, I think I would like fashion. Yeah, I think
you were always a great seller of shoes, I have to admit now.
Loved Graham's when I worked in it. Loved it.
How long were you in Graham's for?
19 years. I was in Graham's. I started in Graham's when I left school, and I loved it. And I worked my way up. I used to then help go with Jen and Gary buy shoes. But I loved Graham's, and they were lovely people to work for. And there was a great bunch of girls there, and Graham's staff, Gary and Stephen Graham, were so good to work for.
As a member of Carlow Chamber and Carlow Leo, it's so fascinating to see businesses starting off and the supports that are there. I'd say from your own point of view, when you're at these events and you're introduced to some new business and you're looking at them going, well, fair play to you. I'd say to go to these meetings and be introducing these companies to whether they're ministers or there's people visiting Carlow, bring them into a new cafe or bring them into another small enterprise or whatever. I'd say there's a little bit of pride there.
I love when a minister comes to Carlow, because I'm so proud to bring them in, whether it's, as you said, whether it's the shop local, whether it's our local shops or whether it's businesses. I love it because, and I have to say, the people of Carlow are so respectful when the ministers come in to visit them, and there's such encouragement there from them. And I would often have loads of times ministers come back and say, oh my God, Carlow is an absolute fabulous place. The people of Carlow are lovely. So we do have a really good reputation of being really welcoming. And we, the Carlow people we're very proud people, but we're also, we just always make people very included in what we do. And I think that's important.
We're just going to hold it there for a second, because we would not have this wonderful podcast in this studio without some of our sponsors and all Carlow businesses as well. We'll just take a minute and we'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
This season of Carlow Connects is brought to you by 3 brilliant local Carlow businesses. Hickson Centra, Potato Market Carlow. Live every day at Hickson Centra with a fresh deli, a cosy seated area, free Wi-Fi, and don't forget to check out their brand new store on the Burn Road. Your local spot for great food and great service. Woods Contract Cleaners and Property Maintenance. Woods provides everything from office and window cleaning to industrial and commercial contract cleaning. And now they offer professional solar panel cleaning too. Find out more at woodscontractcleaners.ie. Green Pro Energy Consultants. Based here in Carlow, Green Pro Energy deliver BR certificates, air tightness testing, and ventilation validation with fast professional service. Get in touch at info@greenproenergy.ie. Your local energy assessment experts. What's a small or an ordinary thing outside of the politics, outside of the phone ringing all the time, that you just go, oh, do you know this? I love doing this.
I look at things differently now. I think with age and my time in politics, first of all, I love when the phone rings, by the way, even though sometimes I'm at meetings and the staff answer. But I just feel every day, Paddy, to get up every day and have your health and to go into work. And, it's like I see so much sickness around us. We see things have changed. So I'm very appreciative of, and I always say this, when you look at things and maybe things that you feel, would I have looked at things differently or not? When you make a decision on something, or when you feel you're doing the right thing, that for me, that's all about how I base my work on. So I always thank God I always say, look, for all of us to be healthy and well, and to be able to work, to be able to get up every day and do what we do. That is part of life. And a lot of people speak about that now. So I'm always saying, look, it's great. And that's why I really appreciate what I do. And I really say, look, it is, politics is definitely my calling in life. And I'm only happy when I'm working in politics.
you're in such a unique position that when you are about to sign that bill or that act into whatever with the president's seal, that act or that bill is affecting someone, isn't it? Whether for change or whatever. So isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like when you're looking over that going, are we doing the right thing here?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Would you ever feel that?
Oh, look, I know I have to do the right thing, and I know by my bill and my second bill, absolutely, I firmly believe for people's health and I'm health and well-being, this is the right way to go, and this is what I have to do. And you know, it's all about communication too, and awareness, and how we portray these bills going out. Look, there is a good vibe on it. I know from talking to teachers, from parents, this is the way to go. And at the end of the day, your health is your wealth. And that's how we have to always make sure that, from my point of view, as Minister of State in the health, that we look at, you know, how we can help. We mightn't get everything right, gosh, that's for sure. But while we can make those changes, might be only small, but we can make them.
Who is actually your boss?
Oh, I've so many now. Look, look at really, you know, we're all accountable for our ministry ourselves. I mean, and we're accountable for what we do. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Taoiseach of the country. I mean, as I said, I'm so honoured to be a Minister of State at his, you know, within his remit. And yeah, absolutely. Look, but then of course we're a team, and in Fianna Fáil, we you know, work with all our ministers, our own TDs, and then I always say in the department I have a great team there, and then locally I have a great team. So there's so many teams, but everybody's working together. And at that, look, I'd say they're all my boss, and I'm just there.
And would the Minister for Health, Jennifer, would you have to work closely with Jennifer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's very nice, absolutely very good at what she does. We'd meet regularly, because sometimes I take some of the topicals, maybe if the minister's at events, or we'd have constant meetings. Oh, absolutely. Minister Jennifer McNeil I find her very nice to work with. I find her very fair. I find Minister Mary Butler very nice to work with, and I find Minister Ciarán O'Donnell. We have a team of 4, and I have to say I'm very lucky and privileged to be in that team of 4. Absolute lovely to work with.
Minister, before we wrap up, I have to ask you about one of my favourite parts of this show. It's called Before There Were Bosses. No, I don't want to call you a boss because you're a minister, and I'll get in trouble here from your department.
Yeah.
So we will be. Now, everyone sitting across from me here has a story from before they were leading teams, making huge decisions as you do, juggling a million things at the once. For you, that might have been before politics ever came into the picture, maybe back when life was a little bit quieter, or maybe not. Is there a memory back in the days and going, do you know what it is, something that reminds you of where it all started, or where there was a bit of a laugh and you're kind of going, where have I come from here?
Yeah, I think my politics and my love of politics stemmed from my dad and canvassing and going to doors. And as a young person going to a door now, you could get A2 now, I might as well tell you, Paddy. And I'd walk away and I'd say to me, Dad, oh, Teddy's after me. You'll be grand. You'll be grand. Or, you know, I'll go back in, I'll sort it. And I have all good memories of that, all good memories. And you know what I think of too over the years? All the good people that would have worked with me over the years, worked with my dad, canvassed with my dad, that have maybe passed away. And there's not a day goes by that I don't really, or maybe not every day, but in times when we talk about conversations, come up about the really good crack. Canvassing, well, it's different now, because as you know, canvassing now, if you're out the country, everyone has gates. So years ago, you could go straight up to a house.
Have you been bitten yet? Has anyone bit you?
I did once, I got bitten, yeah. So, like, there is the challenges of the gates, but I think, you know, when, like, years ago, canvassing as a young person with my dad and with the Fianna Fáil team, there was such good crack, and you'd go then and you'd go into Carpenter's and you'd get your bit of dinner, and there'd be such camaraderie at the dinner. And there are the things I think of, and that really was my camaraderie, and that was my start to politics.
Now, you have to be honest with me here now, right? You're walking around with your team as a Fianna Fáil TD or minister, whatever. When you come to a Fine Gael or Labour household, are you shaking at the knees going, oh my God, something could happen here?
Yeah, not at all. We know them all, and we'd always say, look, if you can't give me the number 1, will you give me the number 2?
But number 2 is important.
Oh, I always say that, whether it's Fine Gael house, whether it's Labour household, whatever household it is, every vote. Sure, I seen it myself in 2016. Every vote is important, and naturally enough, if you're a Fine Gael household, you're going to give it to the Fine Gael person, which is fine, or Labour or whatever. So I always say, look, will you remember me with a vote? Any vote, but I would like to be up as near as I could to the top. But absolutely, and look at it, like, I would never pass a house. I don't care whether I know whether they're Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, or Fianna Fáil, or Fine Gael, Labour, whatever. I will never pass that house because I have the courtesy to knock their door as I do with Fianna Fáil house. So I will never pass the door. And then when they come to the door, I'll say, God, will you remember me somewhere?
And would you ever, Jennifer, get the, get out of here?
Loads of times. Jesus. We get that too. And you go on, but you never answer anyone now. Like the one thing I always say to my team when we're out canvassing, if someone just comes to the door and says, oh, get out, blah, 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 we just say, yeah, no, that's no problem, and we thank you. But we never, ever, ever, ever answer back anyone. We always just say thank you and walk away. Of course you get that. That's part of it.
You love what you do, don't you?
Oh, I love it. I love it with a passion.
I can hear it here, and this is a wrap for the show.
Thank you.
Jennifer, if we were to try get to you, how will we get to you?
Well, look, I'm always on. I'm always on the phone, and if I can't answer the phone, one of the team will answer the phone. Our office is open Monday to Friday, 10 to 4. We close for lunch, but then I do appointments, or if people ring, I'll call to them. Like I'd have people maybe that wouldn't be able to come down to see me, but I'd call to their house. So I'm always on call. So I'm always on email, and if I can't get there, one of my team will always do it. And if they specifically want me, I'll make sure I get to them. It could be a week or so, but I will make sure I get to them.
You always encourage people to vote. So once you hit 18...
Absolutely crucial.
Register.
Oh, 100%. Like I would have people come into my office and you'd be shocked that people still not registered to vote. And I always say, look, first of all, you have to have a voice. You have to vote. And you can't complain if you don't vote, if you don't get out and vote and make those changes. So I always say to people, please use your vote. It is your right to vote, and it's an honour. People died for their vote, and I always say, please register. Use your vote. It's so important because you can't really have your say and you can't make those changes. So look, I always encourage people to vote, and it's important. And schools are very good. I will say that the secondary schools are excellent. They'd always, in sixth year in particular, they'd always say to the girls maybe that might be just coming 18, or the girls maybe might be 18, even if it's after, they say, look, when you're 18, make sure you vote because that's how you have your say.
Are we going for the 35th Dáil?
Oh, 100%. Getting ready now. Absolutely. What would I do?
You'd be bored, wouldn't you?
Oh my God, I know not only this. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And, especially for Carlovians here, we can't have a voice, or we can't, get things moving unless we have our representatives up in Dáil.
Yeah. 100%.
And so that vote, Carlow.
It was brilliant initiative. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Was there a little bit of a drawback?
Yeah, there could have been. There was the challenges of, people in Kilkenny then felt, oh my God, you're very much focused on Carlow. But I've always, normally we always had 4 TDs, as you know, in Carlow and in Kilkenny and 1 in Carlow. And now at least we have 2 TDs in Carlow. And for population and everything, we need 2 TDs. And we have 3 in Kilkenny, which is a really balance. And it's important that the people of Carlow keep 2 TDs in Carlow and then 3 in Kilkenny. Look, I don't know. Look, it would be lovely to see the 3, but on population-wise, we have to keep 2 TDs in Carlow.
If I'm going up to do a speech in the Dolman Hotel or the Talbot Hotel, and if you're you're in there as a minister, is it very important for me now to mention your name first above everybody else?
No, I actually think, and someone was asking me about that only recently, Paddy. I think the first citizen would be the Cathaoirleach.
Okay.
So the Cathaoirleach, who is at the Cathaoirleach now, is Tommy Kinsella, and then it's normally maybe myself and then the councillors or whatever. But that really. That doesn't matter. The main thing is that you don't forget them. People don't mind when their name is called out. It's if you've forgotten, that's when the problem happens. Try not forget anyone, because sometimes it can happen and it wouldn't be intentional. But you have to be very careful. If you have all your councillors there, you have your Cathaoirleachs, you have your mayors, you have your TDs, whatever, you have to try and either mention them all or don't mention any.
Minister Jennifer Murnane O'Connor, that was absolutely fantastic. I think it's the first of its kind to happen here today in Carlow. You've been very supportive, along with Catherine and Cynthia of Carlow businesses here, and I can only go on to see it going from strength to strength. Folks, if you're enjoying Carlow Connects, please share it, like it. If you want to give out, She won't see the comments, so she won't. But our team here will, the guys in Amplify. So please send the podcast to someone you know who's running a business, thinking about starting one, or just loves a good story, or, you know, question a few politicians around the place. Also, if you're a local business and you want to advertise on Carlow Connects, get in touch with us here at Amplify. We have Ash, we have Shannon, and we have Gabe and Darren. Absolutely amazing team in here. Really understand what has to happen. And again, we're based here right in the heart of Carlow. We'll be back again soon with another conversation, another story, another connection. I'm Paddy Carl. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Paddy, and well done.
Thanks, Minister.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Carlow Connects. Keep up to date with the podcast by following us on all social media.